to speak to the point that we alluded to, that you alluded to a little bit earlier, of that resistance from the community when certain news organizations come in and they want to tell our story. You got to understand, it's the same to some of these people as when the police come in and say we want to improve on community engagement, but you have a history in this specific community of them being taken advantage of and used for photo ops and, you know what I mean, different political aspirations and opportunities. So that distrust that is there is valid. And if there's going to be an onus on anybody to erase what that discontent looks like, the onus is on the media organizations, and the onus is on these entities that are supposed to keep us safe, you know, and represented.
So I like solutions, so I want to know what you think we should be doing then to build back that trust. So if we are going in and trying to tell stories, accurate stories of people of color or the black community,
so the same
and we're getting a pushback and people are not willing to do that, then what needs to be done to change that?
You should fire the mediocre, well, the company should fire the mediocre white reporters that are proliferating these stories. Because part of the problem is, I mean, I believe in being specific. So Justin Fenton is to me, from my perspective, especially the work that we've been doing in Baltimore Police Accountability, mediocre white reporter. And he is a white person that, to me, in Baltimore has continued this narrative. It's specific. His story, his beat is criminal justice issues. And most of the time when I see his Twitter feed, his news stories, you see black, like that gallery. I'm sure most of those stories are probably written by Justin Fenton. But the problem is in Baltimore, if you say that this white person, these white people, this board, it doesn't have enough black people on it. Andy Green needs to make sure that he hires this amount of black people for these particular beats, and we can't keep talking about they and them. There are specific people that we all know. It's people's names in Baltimore that, you know, that are circulating. That it's like, why are they still in power? People like Bob Bembry, for example, runs the Able Foundation, funds the Brew. Now the Brew runs stories that I think are problematic. It does good stories for the most part. But then you see stories sometimes where it's like, okay, why is that being covered this particular way? Because it's funded by this particular white philanthropic organization. Why does Channel 11, Channel 13, Channel 45, Channel 2 not have these amount of black people serving these stories? It's because they're not doing it and they have no political will to do it. So why not just fire, like people, Mary Bubala got fired. When I saw the story come out initially, I was like, exactly, fire those white people, get them out of there and put more black people into power. And if we're not going to do that, if they have no political will to do so, then what are we doing as black people to build the necessary infrastructure and institutional force to combat the corporations that are proliferating the images of black people? Talking about integrating into institutions that despise black folks, to me, makes no sense. Now, I do think, to your point, if we're going to actually make them more hospitable to black folks, then you have to have support from community. But again, you can't just erase historical trauma. You can't erase things that have happened to black people. You have to actually engage, and the institution has to commit to racial equity and racial justice. But if they're not going to do that, then from my perspective, fuck them. We got to invest in our own community-based institutions and organizations as opposed to these corporations.
And on a small,
let's get Kondwani over here. I'm sorry, sir.
My thing is, right, all of us in here, I would like to believe that we are all smart people, right? Right? Yes. You said that in 1970, you got caught a nigga at your workplace, right? Yes. So, trying to sit down with these companies or these people that work at these companies, you know, and trying to sit down with the police, the people who are releasing these images, and trying to tell them that what they're doing is wrong, is like me and my homeboys walking up to Newport, the company, right? Like, hey, you know y'all products are killing people, right? They know that. They know that. They know everything is intentional. Like you say, that it's intentional, everything that they doing. So it's like, what we really talking about? You get what I'm saying? Like, I believe that everything should be DIY, right? We gotta do it ourselves, point blank period. We gotta control our own narratives, because one of the biggest myths is that you could persuade away racism. And we seen what happened to Obama, first black president got called a nigga. They called his wife a monkey. They talked about his kids, right? W.B. Du Bois, the first black person to graduate from Harvard, like, and they didn't look at it like, okay, he's one of us now. No, we transformed this beast into educated, you know, thing, right? Like, you cannot persuade away racism. It don't matter. Like, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and we've been saying that for years. And I'm 25. You get what I'm saying? That's so much more to work, and I still gotta explore. But from what I've seen from my research, that's just who they are, right? And we can't persuade them by, you know, we can't make them, oh, don't put up these mugshots. right? They're gonna do what they want to do, but it's important for us, the people who do have certain platforms, right? We have certain dollars, we have certain resources, we have certain access to take control of our own narrative, to say, okay, they're gonna show this, and we're gonna show the other side, which is the truth. Right, and not only are we going to show the truth, but we're going to teach our kids that this is the truth and what they saying is false. So our kids don't grow up the same way that we grew up, believing that there's something wrong with black people. You get what I'm saying? In the book, starting from the beginning, Dr. Ibram X. Kendi say in the beginning of the book, he said the only thing wrong with black people is that we think that there's something wrong with black people. The only thing extraordinary about white people is that we think it's something extraordinary about white people. You get what I'm saying? And we got to break those barriers. Like, it's a lot of smart people in this room. You get what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, sitting down with a police officer trying to tell them, right, that they are, you know, terrorists in our community. Like, we seen what happened with the gun trace task force. They was out there robbing people, beating people up, robbing strippers. Like, they was doing it. They was selling drugs. You get what I'm saying? They killing each other. They snitching on each other. Like, they worse than these so-called, you know, thugs that's in the streets. Right, so we see that and we see it on camera. So it's like, what more proof do we need to realize that, like, we gotta do it ourselves? Like, I don't want to sit at tables with white people no more and try to tell them how they wrong. You get what I'm saying? It's pointless.
Karl, you wanted to get in there? Yeah, that was a good. I was about to say something about this. I want to go back to something that Aaron said about the equal opportunity piece. That really kind of stood out to me. I don't think that the mugshots will be as much of a problem if it was more, like you say, equal opportunity. Because right now, what I see when I turn on the news is if a black man commits a crime, right? They are the threat to society. That's it. That's where the narrative stops. They're black and they're a threat to society. If a white male commits a crime, they're mentally
mental
ill.
health.
Yeah.
He was traumatized.
Exactly, traumatized, mentally ill. Like you said, they show the images of at one point they were a happy person. They were successful. They were a good family person. That's the problem. For us, it stops at they're a criminal, they're a threat to society, they're a thug. But when it comes to white males, they're mentally ill, we need to put them in an institution, we need to provide them help. We've seen the situations where, you go back to Dylan Roof and correct me if I'm wrong, being stopped, after he was arrested, being taken to
McDonald's.
Exactly. A black male's not even going to get a chance to even be arrested because he's going to be shot dead right there when he's seen. So that to me, that's the issue. That's why I want to go back to what you said, because I don't think the mugshot thing would be such a problem, would be such an issue if there was more equal opportunity. But to what you said, I'm glad you said what you said, because you're right. At the end of the day, we having the same conversations over and over again with people who, people who don't really, they don't know our culture, they don't care as much. So we have to kind of take onus on ourselves to create our own institutions, like what Adam was saying as well. That's kind of for me. That was my whole point of starting my platform, Intern Media. I said I didn't like what I was seeing in the media, all the negative portrayals of just people in general, especially us. And I said, well, let me try to start something on my own. And even though I'm starting off small, hopefully I can get the help of mentors and my peers and that sort of thing. And I can put my own spin on things and cover stuff from a positive standpoint.
I definitely want to make this clear, though. We need both. And I really don't want this to become one of these things where we're just talking about establishing our own, platforms and building up our own. I'm right with you, brother. We need as many of our, we're in the process of building so many different independent media outlets for disseminating information about our people. But we need people at the Baltimore Sun that are fighting for us. We need people at the Washington Post that are fighting for us. They're the major platform that white America is going to subscribe to. That if we're going to be running our stuff independently and not worrying about how it's going to come across, what we can't do is just allow the biggest media organizations to go unchecked and unchallenged when these situations come up. But what I would just like to see more of is just us operating from an understanding that we need both, and for one channel to be feeding another. So instead of saying, all right, I'm going to the people in the community and they ain't rocking with me. Every one of our communities here in Baltimore has gatekeepers. And if you're a good journalist that knows your area that you cover, you're supposed to know who those gatekeepers are. So if you come into my hood, you can holler at me, you can holler at Stokey, you can holler at, like people like LBS who's right down the street, you can holler at, if you're going on East Side, I got 3 organizations for you down there. I would connect you with people like Kondwani, people like D. Watkins. They might not trust y'all, but they trust them. So if you're working with them, if you're allowing them to do op-eds with you, if you're actually allowing them to be like, let me introduce you to this young brother who you should do a story on. That's all you need right there. But people don't want to do that because they don't want us to believe that we have as much power as we have. They trust us for good reason because we have never let them down. And as long as you're going with the people that are already having a stake, people like Brittany, you know, who's sitting right in front of us. Like we have so many people in this room right now that are literally changing our city for the better every single day. And if you want just because stories, they're a lot easier to find than we make it seem like they are.
Yeah. Let me take the conversation back to something that was mentioned about the opportunity and how things actually get on the air. You know, it doesn't start with anchors. It starts with an assignment desk. It starts with producers whose job it is to write newscasts, gather graphics, and what have you. It's a real team effort, as you all well know. So in your respective workplaces, who's part of that process? Is there somebody who is sensitive to our issues in our community who's part of this decision-making process? For example, if you're a producer, you're African American, and something runs across your desk as far as a crime story, they have a mugshot. And the other thing about mugshots, it's all about opportunity. Now you have to understand, TV especially, and newspaper to a certain extent, it's all about deadlines, meeting deadlines. You got to get it on the air. If you have several different newscasts during the course of the day, you don't have a whole lot of time to go to social media platforms, look for the positive picture of the person. You're trying to get it on the air as quick as possible, and if PD makes it possible for you to have it in 5 minutes, are you going to take 2 hours trying to search someone's social media platform to get just the right picture that portrays it in a different image? It's all
Me personally, I would, because that's a human being. And at the end of the day, the same way we say like, yo, like, I hate that they have to make it so black and white, but it is black and white. And the fact of the matter is, when the person is white, we do a lot better a job of acknowledging that they're a human being. And until due process has carried itself out, we can't treat them like they're convicted.
Here's how that happens. Aaron, here's how that happens. Number one, if you've got money, you're able to hire a good lawyer who keeps your mugshot off TV. They keep you out of the camera shot so long that it takes forever. Andre, am I right about that? Okay. They're very good at keeping their clients, especially if they have money. If it's a person who's white who doesn't have a lot of money, you see their mugshot on TV. Usually money talks. In money, when people don't want to be on TV, their mugshots or seeing them walking out of court or whatever in that, if they can avoid it, you don't see them. Okay? Whereas people who don't have a whole lot of money, typically black defendants, you know, the mugshot's the first thing that's going to go on the air, unfortunately.
So can we talk about the danger of breaking news, right? Like, why does everybody have to be first? I get it, y'all got times to make it on, but I feel like that's dangerous too.
I think it's dangerous too, brother.
Yeah,
I really
do.
It's
like
everybody wants to be
first.
first.
We're gonna get this first mugshot. Like, no, everybody don't gotta be first. You get what I'm saying? Like, and it goes back to, you know, what everybody's saying, right? This white man killed his family, and they find a picture of him on a jet ski with all of there, and they like, once an angelic boy.
Here's the reality of that. Make no mistake about it, television is just like any other business out here about making money. It's all about money, okay? And whatever's going to make you the most money, that's what you're going to do. And that means beating the competition with information or images on the air so that more viewers watch your station, so that advertisers can charge more for their advertising, so the station makes billions of dollars more. That's what they're going to do. No outlet is going to take a backseat to competition and make less money if they can avoid it.
So I just want to. I was going to ask. So because I agree with him about being first. Sometimes I think that's part of the problem. Everybody's trying to be first. Local media, national media, especially social media. Everybody wants to be first, and they're wrong. But I guess my question. So if I understand it. Media is about, ratings and we need money. Everybody, exactly, money, right? So how about in terms of continued coverage, right? So if I'm looking at, for example, if I'm looking at CNN and they've been covering the story for 2-3 days, why on that second day or that third day we're still seeing the same images? There's got to be social media directors, social media practitioners, someone who can, by that time, find positive images of the black person who's being portrayed.
I'm going to take a guess. There's nobody in that editorial pool who is interested enough to take the time to do that. It's easy. I'm telling you, it's an easy way out.